Do you feel that the president's role is required, or you think that immediate disarmament must happen before other things can take place? Because an armed civil society is a problem, and we have seen in Chhattisgarh when the state created Salwa Judam.
Yeah, thank you for having me again. The point that the Manipur MP raise, I think, is to be seriously viewed because very unfortunately, somehow, he in fact peddled across a very problematic narrative which seeks to portray the Kuki-Zou communities as troublemakers, as it were. I think this has to be nuanced because the issue at hand now is that these armed militant organizations used as instruments by the state, the Arambai Tengol, the Meitei Lipun, and all those who operate within a larger institutionalized ecosystem, I think they are the major source of this offensive strike that Bhagat in effect pointed out, but did not, deal in detail because the context in which there was this confrontation between the police commando in Shiro with the Assam Rifle posted there was this tacit agreement that the Assam Rifle and for that matter paramilitary force would provide buffer to any possible offensive strike from the armed militant organization from the valley areas. And that is precisely where these police commandos try to transgress that tacit agreement that they were forestalled in doing that, and that's where the minor skirmishes arise. And this is precisely the point that you raise is pertinent. I think president's rule and disarmament should be a parallel track. It cannot be one preceding the other because the kind of proxy arrangement that we have now is neither backed up by the constitutional provision because Article 355 is still not yet formally declared, which means that despite the massive deployment of central paramilitary force in the state, they continue to act in the aid of the existing law and order machinery in the state. And that is precisely where I thought that the role of the central paramilitary force is somehow circumscribed. They have not been given direct control and command over how rule of law and order should be regulated. I think so long as these armed militant organization who had been given extensive ammunitions, more than 5 lakhs and 4,000 automatic rifles are in effect immediately tackled under relevant provisions of the law, immediately proscribed, and they be prosecuted under relevant provision of Unlawful Activities Act. This mayhem is not likely to end very soon. And this constitutional anomaly of using proxy arrangement without any constitutional backup provision has to be given way to a direct president rule. Unless this comes about and the elephant in the room, that is Biren Singh, who continues despite the argument on the contrary by Bhagat and others who refuse to put the blame squarely on the elephant in the room, that is Biren Singh, I do not think that any meaningful stability or law and order is likely to be leveraged in the state.
Well, Kartikeya ji, one thing that I've understood from this, there is this trust deficit with the armed forces on the ground itself, whether it's the police or the central forces who are here. It looks like one community trusts the police and one community trusts the armed forces. And of course, the mutual trust that is not there between these communities on the police as well as the armed forces that are there on the ground. This is also probably compelling this kind of a situation that we see, where it has become very complex for all these armed forces, whether the police as well as the paramilitary forces, to operate. So as they were, in fact, Professor Bhagat was saying that there needs to be some kind of discipline that has to be put with a coordinated effort on the ground. Again, it looks like that CBM, the need for building confidence building measures should start from having probably a combined force and operations.
General Saab, what do you have to say on Verghese when he says that people have different perception of police, people have different perception of army? How will situation work then, sir?
Compliment the co-panelists who have very comprehensively given out the narrative, and also Mr. Verghese. Okay, let me address the issue in a holistic manner. Let me start. How do I start? Let me start. What is the need of the hour? The need of the hour, to my understanding, Kartikeya, is normalcy, peace. it doesn't matter whether president's rule comes in or the civil government continues to make amends, carry out mid-course corrections, and rectify the steps taken so far. It doesn't make any difference. But what actually matters is, if peace is required, then it's a very hard thing to achieve in a place like Manipur as of today. Any hard thing required to be achieved requires hard steps, very difficult steps. So when we talk about the hard steps, what are the hard steps that come to our mind? As a military man, what comes to my mind is that despite the armories having been locked and sealed and guarded, some of them getting looted. More than 4,000 weapons have been looted. Uncalled for. This is not acceptable at all. Why have they been looted? That is the first question coming to my mind. If they have been looted, if there are 4,000 or more, how many have been recovered? 1,000. The latest, I was just browsing the net and I saw 1,040 have been recovered. That's not good enough. In 45 days' time, if we are unable to identify the problem, to reach the end state, which I have outlined, end state is peace and harmony, then I think there is a serious problem of the apparatus which is existing, which is meant or expected to deliver result on the ground. So then what is the problem? The problem to my mind is very rightly Mr. Varghese brought out, is the trust deficit. The same trust deficit which was the trigger way back in 90s, if I remember correctly, when the insurgency took off. The civil population had a serious trust deficit in the security apparatus. So a thing like a patient or a man in the ambulance being set on fire when the police is present. I mean, this is an incredible thing happening. So what happens to the civil population? They lose faith in the police. Yes, there may be a dichotomy in what you are saying, that some are having trusting the army people, some are trusting the police people. These are damn things that have to be. We are here as a media to play a very responsible role. I don't believe in going in for schisms and the parochial distinctions. We need to actually bridge the gap as far as possible. What I have in the mind is that hard steps have to be taken. What are the hard steps coming to my mind? First and foremost thing, contrary to the traditional and historical understanding between Myanmar and India, seal the border. The border is 352 kilometers. Cut out all the migration taking place from Myanmar. And mind you, our people know, the security advisor, I'm sure he's mindful of the fact that Myanmar since 1st of February 2021 is a different Myanmar. It is not the same democratic Myanmar which was existing earlier. It is the Myanmar where the military junta is having the final say. It is the Myanmar where you have Maitai and Kukis. It is the Myanmar, same Maitai and Kukis are fighting against each other, and they are taking help of the military junta to strike and fire and kill each other's group. So therefore, we need to be mindful of this fact. We need to be mindful of the fact that in the border between Myanmar and China, there is a province called Yunnan province, and in the Yunnan province, there is a place called, forgetting the name, Ruli. In Ruli, without any gun license, if a AK-47 is costing around 1,65,000 or 2 lakh and plus, you get it in measly sum, 25,000 rupees or equivalent, without any license. Sniper weapons have been reported to be used in Manipur Valley, not heard of in the past. No terrorist organization or militants ever in the past, at least in my service period, I have not seen or having been reported by my junior that the insurgents are using the sniper rifles. And it has happened about a month back or 40 days or 30 days back, 25, 30 days back.
Okay.
So where are the sniper rifles coming from? So allow me, Kartikeya, I have something to convey. So what I'm coming to, it is not only the situation in Myanmar. There are easy weapons which are available. There are contrabands which are freely flowing across this 16 kilometers that side and 16 kilometers that side, this side. Their people, the Myanmar people can come towards our side, our people can go toward. There is no system of visa existing. There is no sealing of border. There is security, Assam rifle is deployed. You all know, you've been on the ground, you know how the military is deployed. They are not deployed like, you go onto an extended form, or they're deployed in a tactical manner. There is a gap in between. And even if they dominate and deny, people are allowed, formally, officially, they're allowed to come inside. There is narcotics coming in a big way. Narcotics is playing havoc in Manipur. It is not only the poppy plantation, it is the narcotics in different...
General
There has
Saab,
been a
I think you made
Prof.
3 points.